Hello, everyone. We are back at BrainX Talks podcast series. Very exciting episode this time. So, welcome, everyone. I'm Piyush Mathur. I come to you from Cleveland, Ohio. And we are here with this excellent series of conversations for AI in healthcare podcast series. And you can get us on any of your favorite podcast channels, whether you're Spotify, Apple, or Google. You can get us over there, listen to that. Let me introduce myself. I'm an anesthesiologist, I'm an intensivist, I'm an AI researcher, practitioner, co founder of BrainX and BrainX Community. But more importantly, I have a very exciting speaker for you today. We're going to have a great conversation and welcome Dr. Hooman Rashidi.
Thank you.
He comes to us he comes to us from Pittsburgh, and I will put his full bio up on our website. It's too extensive to go through that, but I'll tell you the highlights, his current highlights. So he's currently the Associate Dean of AI in Medicine, Professor and Endowed Chair of Lombardi Shinozka Experimental Pathology Research at the University of Pittsburgh of School of Medicine, Experimental Pathology Research at University of Pittsburgh again, and he's the executive director of CPACE. Probably will talk to us more about it in a bit, and executive vice chair of computational pathology division at UPMC. He's got numerous other affiliations and extensive background in AI, not just as a researcher but also as a developer. He has developed fantastic applications all the way from no code platforms to learning platforms. We're going to learn from him about all of those hopefully today, and he has a great vision for the future. So in this particular episode, we're going to learn about all of that. So, with that, Dr. Rashidi, welcome again, and talk to us about your journey as a pathologist. How did you get into AI? What really got you
Yeah,
excited about this?
yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, so I have to say, my journey was not your traditional journey. As you know, I actually, before medical school, I was in bioinformatics in Doug Smith's lab at UCSD and the San Diego Supercomputer Center. And so I, I had this naive idea initially that I'm going to apply. Back then, we called AIML stuff. We called them bioinformatics, everything. And so I was like, okay, I've written books on this stuff now. I'm going to change career paths and really make a big impact within healthcare and change healthcare. Very naive. So went into med school from there, and then I realized there were things like HIPAA that I did not know about, and so it was not as easy as I thought. And then also most people within healthcare were not receptive to my skill sets. So I was not necessarily the most popular person for over 15 years. And so went through, my medical school journey. I ended up initially going into internal medicine, which then I found out that I have more of a passion around pathology and lab medicine. So I switched over into pathology and lab medicine to do hematopathology, so leukemia lymphoma services, which I'm still a practicing hematopathologist at the UPMC. But then about 8 years ago or so, as you know, the landscape started changing. People became more receptive towards us using advanced informatics and AI tools. And so at this point, I was had moved from UC San Diego to UC Davis, and I was back then I was the professor and vice chair of informatics for our department. And then our CEO asked me to be the director of AI for our enterprise. So I did a lot of AI stuff within UC Davis. And then from there, I ended up working with you at Cleveland Clinic, where I came over there to set up the AI center there, which is now, I have to happy to say, there's been a very successful AI center. I've been handed off to some great mentees who are taking it on and doing a fantastic job. And this new opportunity came out in University of Pittsburgh and UPMC to do what you just mentioned, which was to open up their new AI center in pathology, which was Computational Pathology and AI Center of Excellence, and which was a joint venture between our dean and our president of UPP, who basically found it to be a joint venture between Pitt and UPP to make this AI center be the leading AI center within pathology and lab medicine. So that's what we've been developing with my friend Liron Pantanowitz and others. We've brought in a superstar team of people to the table to help with various things that we're trying to do within this space. So the journey was not a very direct journey. It was kind of like indirectly, but I'm happy to say that something that was not so popular, but up till about 8 years ago, all of a sudden became super popular. So I'm happy that people like my field now finally.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. It makes me think like you were way ahead of your times. You were doing things that people didn't relate to way ahead of your times, and it's incredible to listen to people's story, how they got into it. Whether now what I understand is a lot of bioinformatics people are trying to learn about AI, whereas
That's
you were
correct.
ahead of the game and trying to marry this. But what's interesting is the pathology part of that.
Yeah.
So, talk to us about the exciting field of pathology, and with all these multimodal models, all these large language models, foundational models, all the image analysis and everything. Tell us what's exciting in pathology these days.
Yeah, so lots of excitement in pathology. As you know, pathology is going through a digital transformation. I'm excited that I'm working now directly with some of the leaders within digital pathology, Liron Pantanowitz and Matthew Hanna, both of them literally next door neighbors, and my office is here. And so, with their helps and a lot of other key players within this space, we're trying to truly transform our landscape and be fully digital. Now, the nice thing is that UPMC has been ahead of its time because of specifically Liron, who's been here and had brought in digital transformation, but no center has been completely digitally transformed yet. And that's what our goal is how do we completely become all digital within pathology, because it's a major challenge, as you know, as opposed to radiology where everything is digitized up front. In pathology, the tissue and the tissue blocks and the glass are initially made, and then digitization happens after the glass is made, the slide is made. So because of that, this whole transition to full digital has been a slow one within our field. But the good news is that I think with the advent of AI and their new platforms and what they're adding to the field, I think now people are finally starting to see the ROIs that digital pathology and AI as a combination are going to bring to the table to make things more accurate, make processes more efficient. And so I'm very excited that we're on the forefront and trying to basically set an example within the field for various things that we're doing. So yeah, it's exciting in terms of the generative AI. I typically like to split up AI into generative and non-generative AI, as you know. And so, and the reason I think that's really important also for our legislatures and others who policymakers and whatnot is because it'll be dangerous to put one AI umbrella over everything, because then you could be slowing down our traditional clinical decision support predictive algorithms that are not generative AI. And so by adding additional hurdles there, you're now potentially slowing down innovation and ultimately could compromise patient care, or at least slow it down. So so by splitting up generative AI and non-generative AI into the two different caps and have people understand this space, and even our own data scientists and whatnot, we can actually make use of our traditional predictive analytics tools still that are validated, our regulatory folks are more comfortable with and whatnot, like your typical classification of cancer versus no cancer, or on a radiology where somebody says pneumonia versus no pneumonia, and so on and so forth, or multi-classifiers or regression models. With the generative AI, I feel like this is a major stimulant to various things that we currently have within your traditional non-generative AI, because they could actually be great orchestrators of the current platforms and also future platforms. And so we've been at the forefront as that as well. So we've also have trying to address various needs, as as I had shown you before, like we've created our own GPT framework called Pitt-GPT, where it's an on-prem based on an open source fine-tuned model that has multi-agent cross-platform talk that tries to get you as close as possible to accurate, responses. But still, it's a generative model and still has lots of limitations. So yes, we're excited about that space. We're trying to also dig into the multimodal platforms, and lots of colleagues who are going into that space as well too, because we feel in the future probably the best responses that we'll get would be an orchestrated form where various clinical decision support CDS tools will crosstalk with generative AI tools, and that final note is a combination of various crosstalks that has now given a better picture of the patient to the practicing physician while keeping them in the loop. So the whole human in the loop staying focused. Lots of still stuff for us to still address, biases within these systems, which is a known thing that we would have to help with. There is performance measures of these things, as you and I have talked about, and you guys are tackling that space beautifully. So lots of stuff for everybody to kind of like help together to do it as a team, so that we know what is it that it actually can do for us. But more importantly, we educate our users enough so that they also know the limitations and how much they should actually take the word of the final AI response. I hope that gives you, it was kind of a winded response, but that's kind of like the big vision.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I'm glad that there are visionaries like you leading this work in pathology and more. And that's where we're going to go in the next few minutes of our conversation, leading this work. And it's important that you are paying close attention to the performance and validation of these before they make it to the clinical space and are protecting our patients, delivering the highest quality of care to our patients. When you came to Cleveland Clinic, when I met you, I was like totally inspired. I was totally in awe. And I was like, now I have a great friend, a mentor, somebody I can talk to. I got great guidance from you. And although you went a few hundred miles away, but I'm glad that we still maintain that connection. But this new role is really exciting to me. I haven't come across that at many places. Associate Dean of AI in Medicine. So a lot of health systems, schools of medicine are trying to figure this part out. They're trying to figure out the strategy for education and implementation. I think you are in this great role for implementing and educating the future generations for AI in healthcare. So tell us, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I mean, I have to credit this to our dean, Dr. Anantha Shekhar. So he's the one who saw this as an opportunity, and of course, I was aligned with that, and I'm excited to be in this role. In terms of what we have an idea of, in terms of what's important, not only just within our space but globally, is education. And that doesn't necessarily mean educating folks like myself that are coders, but more importantly, educating the vast majority of the people who don't know how to code but want to learn AI and don't really have a background in computer science or detailed mathematical modeling, but want to learn AI. And that's the missing piece right now within most things within AI. And so that's what we tackled. And I have to credit, the visionaries at Cleveland Clinic that wanted it first, to be fair, because we did set up a full AI course at Cleveland Clinic, as you know, that's now live there and Cleveland Clinic wide. So so we're trying to emulate a similar course here with the new changes within AI that basically gets our students to understand the various aspects of generative AI, non-generative AI, most importantly, in a no code, no background in machine learning, no background in heavy math environment, so that they basically are given AutoML tools. And full disclosure, some of them are some of the stuff that I have developed, like MILO, and build, it provide, synthetic data sets so that it provides, patient privacy more so too. So we're not sharing real patient data within these courses. And again, full disclosure, some of them are own, like the Cleveland Clinic Sting platform that we're using. So lots of exciting stuff that these tools within AI are enabling us to create courses that allows people who don't know much about AI to learn our space. And And the course really is, an updated version, if you will, of what we have at Cleveland Clinic, even though the Cleveland Clinic one is pretty new. And maybe slightly more emphasis on generative AI as well, since that's like the hottest topic right now. But in terms of overall delivery is similar. It's an interactive course that we're bringing out at the end of 2025, where it will be 20 some hours of short video interactive lessons. Starts off in the very beginning, that first 30 minutes to an hour, we show people how easy it is to actually build stuff. So that whole fear of building AI models will go away and get people excited so they can build their first vision, let's say image classifier of, let's say, them with a mask or without a mask, or a cancer without a cancer. And also using MILO, we'll let them kind of be able to build a tool that can predict, let's say, diabetes patients from non-diabetes patients based on various, independent variables. So the building part will show them is very easy through the AutoMLs, but 95% of the course is not around the building part. After we've shown them how easy it is and get everybody excited, kind of similar to the Cleveland Clinic course, we're going to concentrate on, okay, what are the ethical aspects of it? What are the biases that are present? What are the regulatory aspects, and what are coming within the regulation? What are the gaps in the regulation? What are the statistical elements that you need to be, so a brush up on people's statistics of, for them to understand better what statistical frameworks are currently in place for non-generative AI, for them to know how to deal with regression and classification models, and then also, performance measures in generative AI platforms. What are some of them ones that are more dependable, some of them that are less dependable? Again, it will be a journey, and they'll do also a couple of projects. So then this way, anyone with just an interest in AI can actually become well versed within AI, because the goal there is pretty simple. It's twofold. One is, myself and you included, we've discussed this before. We know that the future of our multidisciplinary care for patients will include, data science or AI enhanced physicians, along with data scientists. So similar to a few decades ago, where the tumor board or caring for a patient was between a couple of physicians at most, now a typical tumor board, as you know, has, a hemonc doctor, a pathologist, the radiologist, the nutritionist, social worker, pharmacist. And I'm a firm believer that as these new predictive analytics tools come in play and people are starting to making chemotherapy decisions and other types of decisions, the data science element will be part of these tumor boards as well, or at least a data science enhanced physician that will be at the. And this is why it's so key for us to make sure that we're ahead of the game, so that our folks are literate within that space, so that they can have that bridge of a crosstalk, because between the folks who do develop the products and deploy them and those who are actually using them. And so that way you are not only efficient in terms of delivery of care, but most importantly, you're minimizing harm to patients, as some of these products, and because none of these models are perfect, so for people to be part of the process to communicate the limitations, and so that you can make the best decision for the patients as you move on, you be in the best set forward. So that's kind of like a big picture vision of it. The other reason that I kind of feel, this is kind of my own personal belief of it, that I feel it's so important to teach our students, our medical students, graduate students, and other professionals that are within our healthcare space, is because reality is, no matter what you do within the healthcare space, traditionally your neighbors who are not within the lay community, that are not within the healthcare space, they see the healthcare space workers and professionals as leaders. They constantly come up to people who are in the healthcare industry. It doesn't matter what you are: physician, nurse practitioner, PA, clinical laboratory scientist. The minute they know that you're in that space, they want to ask you questions. They want to seek advice. And so it dawns on us that if we're not leaders within this education space, knowing that AI as a tsunami is going to hit the entire society, this will be also part of our job to make sure that we decrease the impact or the negative impact in terms of job losses and whatnot that our neighbors will have. So prepare them, guide them, try to get them to go and start teaching themselves about these things, almost like when the internet wave came through, except this is going to be a bigger wave. And so by doing that, we're not going to get rid of, the job transitions that are going to happen and societal negative impacts that will happen by AI that everybody kind of knows, but at least we can dampen the blow. And by doing that, we've basically done a positive, thing for the society. And quite frank, it's a positive thing for us as well too, because when people are stressed when they don't have a job, psychologically and physically tied in together, those same people, their illnesses will come back and circulate back into the health system as various and manifest itself in various disease processes. So I think it's important for us to be preventive in this thing and know that the impact is does have a direct impact both to us within a healthcare system but also to the society as a whole. So by having our students and grad students becoming leaders within this space and learning the space as much as possible, they can become better guides for their neighbors, for the society as a whole as well. But not only that, so it's not only just the patient part that are active within our system, but also those who may be coming into our system, or maybe those who should not come into our system because we want to prevent people from getting sick. So that's the kind of like the big vision, if you will.
Well, that's why I said, like, you're a great visionary in this space. The horizon that you have and the insights that you have is great, and thank you for that. As you were talking about it, made me think about what you're preparing, what you're equipping people for is the evolution of science, the evolution of humanity in general. And as Darwin said, it is about survival of the fittest. And to survive as the fittest, the best thing that you can do is equip yourselves with education and the skill that will help you survive, right? And that's what you're leading with. So congratulations on that
Thank you so much.
fantastic effort and summarizing that. And it really makes me feel good that we have partners like yourself partnering with BrainX community, sharing the knowledge, equipping people. I'm sure as soon as your course is ready, we'll be able to highlight it on BrainX community too, just like we have done in the past. So for those who missed Dr. Rashidi on his prior talk, you can go to BrainX community. You can watch his event on our YouTube channel, which we had recorded previously, and learn from some of the tools that he has built to help everybody learn and accelerate their research and development work. Now, the last question that I have is, in this space, I have seen the technological changes, the algorithms evolve so quickly.
Yeah.
And yes, we are asking people to learn about AI. This technology is moving so fast. Sometimes it scares people.
Yeah.
There is a common misbelief in people that this is a one time thing, that you just need to learn about AI once and then you will know. But what I realized in my journey is I have to commit to 2 to 3 hours of just technical read every single day to stay where I am.
I
Not
agree.
everybody doesn't need to do that. Where do you see this 5 years from now?
No, that's a great point. So to be realistic, I'm a physician scientist, so I have to also be fact based. So you're 100% right. I think if I told you I know where we're going to be in 5 years, that's not realistic. I don't think any of us know where we're going to be in 5 years. I'm just hoping that in 5 years, with education and with more people being involved and more of a human in the loop kind of drive and theme, if you will, that the society would basically want to bring on various elements of these tools that could help us and minimize certain parts of it that would hurt us. And in many ways, I see kind of AI similar to medicine, of how we practice medicine. We constantly, when we practice medicine, we have this whole balancing act between risks and benefits, because nothing is perfect. You give somebody a drug, that drug may benefit them, but that same drug could also have major side effects and could hurt them or even kill them. So this whole risk benefit ratio that we practice within medicine is also something that we should globally think about of how we apply AI as well. That certain parts of it, knowing that it's nothing's gonna be perfect. That you will not get a perfect system ever. But if it's gonna basically be more helpful than not, and it makes a good argument that the benefits really outweigh the risk dramatically, then I think collectively, as a population, we could basically try to drive these forward more responsibly. But in terms of exactly where we're going to be at, I'm not sure. And you're because I'm in the same camp as you. We talk about this all the time, right? Because it used to be where I would only read before the generative AI kind of a boom happened. I would only read very technically heavy published academic papers, either in archives or non-computer science within medical translational stuff. And I have a process. I would read 3 to 4 of these and sometimes share them with some of our students and trainees and whatnot. And it was 3 to 4 a week. And 3 to 4 a week was, I'm a very busy person. That's still a major commitment. But you're 100% right. And now that has turned into 2 to 3 hours minimum every day. That because it's maybe an hour of that happens to be the academic stuff, but there's a lot of open source elements out there that are driving the academic movement. And these are not published in your typical papers that we read. These are new blogs within Medium and other YouTube videos and whatnot that you basically now are learning from some kids who are brilliant and changing the world within new things that they're developing. Like within generative AI, things that have happened from a non-academic setup. I mean, although people could argue that it has some of an academic vibe to it, is tools like LangChain, Accrue AI, Llama Index. And these are things where people had great ideas and they basically said, this is going to help the world, especially in the open source community. Let's bring it on. And also credit to a lot of the companies who have provided open source frameworks that lets the open source community drive this renovation. But you're right, it's a crazy ride right now, and it's hard to keep up with the stuff. So the way I usually train my own staff and all of our students and trainees and whatnot is my pitch to them is pretty simple, which is that generative AI is based on our traditional non-generative machine learning elements. That's a fact, right? Even ChatGPT.
That's right.
ChatGPT's 3 major arms as it was developed, had an unsupervised setup, right? That's similar to many of the unsupervised things that we do within machine learning. Then it had your instructor tuned, supervised arm where it's a supervised process to make it better. So there's supervised machine learning in there. And then also had a reinforcement arm, and
That's
that
right.
the whole reinforcement learning with human feedback, or now reinforcement learning with AI. So the 3 major arms of non-generative AI are embedded within the generative AI poster child, ChatGPT. And so it's very important for our folks to also know that these didn't magically come about. These were based on true long-term science that now has over time developed to what it is now. And now, even though it has its own capabilities and its own limitations in terms of performance measures, intrinsically, it has many of the original core machine learning elements in it, like supervised, unsupervised reinforcement learning. So I think people should still stay focused with the basics. So my own people, very much our goal is that they all have to be first and foremost generalist machine learning experts. So even though if they're trained in their PhD to be experts within vision, and that's fantastic, that might have been one of the reasons we hired them, we also retrain them to also become really great general practitioners, similar to what people do in medicine or law before they become a subspecialist. And so the same thing here, where we want to make sure that everybody is a good generalist, and then we then encourage them to actually become specialists and even subspecialists within that, because that's what machine learning has moved into. AI is now has lots of subspecialties. And by doing that, you're doing two major favors. One is you're going to have folks who are way more capable and understanding of our space and know the limitations and have the crosstalks, and you can think of even better things to develop. But besides that, it also helps with attrition. If you lose folks that are in one thing doing a project, you don't have to wait 6 months to a year, get another one. Other people can step in and help out and fill in and move things forward still. So this kind of the concept is something that I've kind of brought in from medicine. This is how we run medicine. A lot of cross training happening in medicine, right? So I hope that answered it. That's kind of how I saw it.
No, I think you said it very eloquently. I was just listening and getting mesmerized by the way that you were breaking it down and making it simple. And I think that the call to anybody who wants to be involved in this is to, first of all, keep it simple, start with the basics, and then grow into it. And the other thing, I think the point that you made very well is that many of the healthcare practitioners think that AI is a homogeneous entity. AI is like one thing. It's not. It's truly not. It's just like medicine. Just like you said, it's like medicine. It's got the cardiology component or the GYN or the pathology component. Everybody cannot be specialists, but you need to start somewhere. And the most important thing is to get excited, to start somewhere, follow you, learn from all the great work that you're doing and other researchers are doing. So that is very exciting, and that is a great way to put it. And with that, we'll come to the end of another edition of BrainX Talks. For all interested, please
Oh,
come to
Piyush,
our LinkedIn page.
can I
Yeah,
say one more thing
absolutely. Yeah,
before
yeah,
things?
please do.
The
Last
one
word.
thing yeah, one thing I want to leave the audience with is, and of course, I can't leave the audience with the Cleveland Clinic course because that's a course that's owned by Cleveland Clinic. But within the Cleveland Clinic course, we did write a bunch of publicly available review articles to kind of serve as its textbook, if you will. And actually, we're writing 7 more within a series now in that's coming for the Pitt course as well. So I'm happy to share that in the future when it comes out at the end of 2024. But the 4 main ones that we've used at Cleveland Clinic's course, I'm happy to share that with the audience too. So I'll send it to you, and if you can link it to the audience, and I think they'll enjoy it because it will give them a very big picture of the basic terminologies that are within machine learning. And it's not just pathology lab medicine, it's anything that's usually medicine related. So terminologies, what are the different datas? How do you process the different datas? What are the differences between the different algorithms, the different study designs, best practices around study designs, statistics of machine learning? We break that down without too much heavy math in there. So hopefully that will help the audience. And that happened to be the core reference for our AI course that we deployed at Cleveland Clinic as well. So I hope that gives you
Yeah,
an be similar to what we're going to have here at Pitt.
that's great. Would love to feature that on BrainX community. And that was the reason why we built a whole webpage, brainxai.org, your one place to go and learn everything. And your prior publications are already featured over there in the learn section of brainxai.org. So the publication that you're talking about, they're already featured. You go to learn section, and you can find those. You can read those publications through the links available to you over there. But we'll make them available through the information on the podcast too, and look forward to featuring and highlighting your future publication and the course. Hopefully we can make it available to everyone. So that's why it's important to follow us on BrainX Talks and brainxai.org. Follow us on LinkedIn. We have the group of very active members, more than 3,000 from worldwide, multidisciplinary, AI practitioner, AI experts, data scientists, clinicians, everyone sharing information, sharing knowledge. That's our goal. Drop us a line for collaboration. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Rashidi.
Thank you so much. It was